You ever notice how time suddenly feels heavier when someone tells you a specific hour matters? Not the whole day, not the whole week, just a window. A slice of time carved out like the universe circled it in red ink. Most people ignore moments like that. They shrug and say, "What difference could a few hours make?" But deep down, there's a strange tension that creeps in. A feeling that something is aligning, shifting, waiting for them to finally pay attention. That's what this is. A moment marked for you tomorrow, between 11 and 3. Not random, not symbolic, intentional. Almost like life is testing whether you're awake or just moving through your days half asleep. You've been asking for answers, signs, direction. You've been pacing through your own mind, replaying choices, questioning your path, wondering if anything is actually guiding you, or if you're just hoping for guidance because everything feels too heavy to carry alone. People have this strange habit of treating time like it's infinite, like it's a loyal friend who will wait patiently while they stumble through life, ignoring the nudges, dismissing the warnings, pretending everything will just work itself out. But time doesn't wait. Time doesn't negotiate. And when something is marked, when the universe signals with precision, it isn't casual. It isn't a suggestion. It's a call, a message wrapped in urgency. And the irony is that people often miss it because they're too busy waiting for the perfect conditions, the perfect clarity, the perfect moment to finally act. They forget that the perfect moment is almost always disguised as the exact opposite of perfection. Think about it. When has life ever handed you clarity without tension, without discomfort, without that gnawing sense in your gut that something is about to shift? Never. It's always messy. It's always inconvenient. It's always the kind of timing that makes you question yourself, your decisions, your readiness. And that's exactly why it works. The universe doesn't choose convenience when it wants your attention. It chooses pressure. It chooses specificity. It chooses the moments that make you pause, make you aware, make you feel the weight of what you've been asking for without realizing you were asking for it. Tomorrow, between 11 and 3, is one of those moments. It isn't a random segment of the day. It isn't a window that could mean anything at all. There's intention behind it. A precision designed to align with where you are right now. And if you think for a second that you can sleep through it, scroll past it, dismiss it as coincidence, you're underestimating the way life communicates. It doesn't waste time on the unready, but it will deliver exactly what you need when you are. The problem is, people rarely recognize when they're ready. They mistake fear for prudence, hesitation for wisdom, doubt for insight. And so the timing passes them by while they are still stuck in their routines. You've been asking for direction, haven't you? You've been pacing through your thoughts, replaying conversations, wondering what's next, questioning whether you've missed something important in the chaos of everyday life. And that's exactly why this moment matters. It's designed to cut through the noise, to break the illusion that everything can wait, to force you into awareness. The universe doesn't whisper when it wants, results it nudges. It pressures. It forces your gaze to the truth, whether you like it or not. And the more you resist, the louder the signal becomes, until it refuses to be ignored. Specific timing also tests your attentiveness. It separates those who are awake from those who sleepwalk. People like to believe that they're tuned in, that they're noticing the signs, that they're paying attention. But life doesn't need your belief. It needs your response. Those 3 hours aren't meant to entertain your curiosity. They're meant to provoke action. They're meant to see if you can rise above hesitation, above distraction, above the comfort that keeps you anchored in place. And the truth is, most people won't even notice until it's too late, until the window closes, and the opportunity that was obvious in hindsight becomes a ghost haunting what could have been. There's also a cruel, beautiful lesson in specificity. It reminds you that nothing is accidental. When life sends a message like this, it isn't a coincidence. It isn't luck. It isn't a fluke. It's design. And design requires recognition. It requires your willingness to acknowledge that you're not just drifting through random events, but that you're being positioned, tested, prepared. The hours between 11 and 3 are a mirror. They reflect your readiness. If you treat them casually, you miss the alignment. If you treat them seriously, you enter a space where clarity and opportunity converge, where hesitation has no room, and where courage becomes measurable. People underestimate the urgency of divine or universal timing because it doesn't arrive with fanfare. It arrives quietly, and only the alert, the attuned, the aware recognize it for what it is. But recognition alone is not enough. Action is required. Understanding that something is significant without responding is like knowing the path exists but refusing to walk it. The moment passes, and life doesn't rewind to give you another chance. It moves forward, and you are left wondering why you didn't see it sooner, why you didn't act, why you didn't pay attention when the signals were crystal clear. Tomorrow's window isn't about coincidence, and it isn't about luck. It's about alignment. It's about awareness. It's about showing up when the world is ready to hand you the confirmation you've been waiting for, the opportunity you've been craving, the clarity you've been seeking, whether or not you feel ready to take it. And that's what separates the ones who step into their purpose from the ones who remain spectators, endlessly circling the moments they were meant to seize. People always want signs when it suits them, don't they? They want confirmation that the universe is on their side, that their choices make sense, that the timing is right. But here's the trick: they rarely recognize the signs when they appear. They're too busy scrolling, too busy worrying, too busy pretending they're in control to notice the subtle shifts, the whispers in their gut, the moments that prick their conscience and leave their chest tight with tension. That's the thing about timing. It doesn't care if you're ready. It doesn't bend to your schedule. It doesn't knock politely. It arrives, precise, intentional, and utterly unavoidable for those who are paying attention. Tomorrow, between 11 and 3, isn't just a block of hours. It's a signal, a test, a message wrapped in specificity so that it can't be ignored. Most people would see it and dismiss it as coincidence, just another line on a clock that doesn't matter. But that's only because they're tuned into their distractions instead of their instincts. They treat the quiet pull of intuition like static, when in reality, it's a siren designed to redirect them toward the path they've been avoiding, the moment they've been waiting for, the action they've been secretly craving but were too afraid to take. People are addicted to postponement. They're addicted to thinking they have time, that tomorrow is infinite, that they can delay clarity, delay decision, delay action until the moment feels convenient. But life doesn't operate on convenience. Life doesn't pause because you're not ready. Life doesn't wait for you to stop doubting, stop overthinking, stop hiding behind excuses. The timing is precise because the world won't bend for you. It won't hesitate. It won't send a second invitation. It only delivers what you're ready to receive, and only in the moment you're finally willing to notice it. Think about how often your life has been full of near misses, almosts, moments that seemed meaningless at the time but later revealed themselves as crucial. That's how signals always work. They come disguised as ordinary days, ordinary hours, ordinary minutes. You feel a subtle pull, a strange tension, a feeling that something is different, and you shrug it off. You don't answer because your mind wants proof, your heart wants certainty, and your ego wants comfort. But the moment doesn't care about comfort. The moment doesn't wait for proof. The moment waits for attention, for awareness, for the courage to step forward into what has been waiting for you all along. And the irony is, people already know when the moment matters. Their instincts whisper it, their energy senses it, their body responds to it in ways they can't explain. That's the universe talking, sending subtle cues through subtle channels. But because people want things to look obvious, they ignore the quiet signs. They want fireworks when all the real messages come in hushed tones, hidden between the ordinary, masked by routine, disguised as coincidence. And when they finally recognize it, it's often too late. The window has closed, the opportunity has passed, and they're left thinking, if only I had noticed sooner, when the truth is they did notice, they just chose to pretend they didn't. This is what makes precise timing so critical. When life sets a window, when it says tomorrow, 11 to 3, it's demanding your full attention. It's asking for awareness, readiness, courage. It's testing whether you can distinguish between noise and signal, between distraction and destiny, between hesitation and action. Because most people fail that test. Most people drift through life thinking their dreams will wait, their clarity will wait, their purpose will wait, when the only thing that waits is the consequence of inaction. So pay attention. Observe the subtle shifts, the tugs at your intuition, the moments that don't make sense if you ignore them. They're more than coincidence. They're more than chance. They're a map, a guide, a confirmation of the path that's been quietly preparing you to step into your potential. You can choose to overlook it, like most people do, and drift back into the familiar patterns of indecision, distraction, delay. Or you can notice, recognize, respond, and move with the precision that life is asking of you. Timing doesn't forgive. Timing doesn't pause. Timing doesn't repeat itself just because you weren't ready. That block of hours, tomorrow, 11 to 3, isn't a suggestion, and it isn't casual. It's a signal, a call, a doorway. And whether you step through it or ignore it will define what comes next, because the window won't wait, and the opportunity won't return. People spend so much time asking for signs, hoping for confirmation, praying for clarity. But when it finally shows up, most of them run from it, ignore it, or pretend it doesn't exist. Funny, isn't it? They want certainty, yet they can't handle specificity. They beg for direction, yet when the path is illuminated, they squint, turn away, or look for another route. Tomorrow, between 11 and 3, is exactly one of those moments. It's precise, it's deliberate, it's unavoidable for anyone willing to notice. But most won't, because clarity always demands more than we're willing to give more awareness, more courage, more honesty than comfort allows. Think about all the times in your life when you ignored that feeling in your gut, that quiet nudge whispering that something was off. You rationalized it, explained it away, convinced yourself you were overthinking, and the world didn't stop. Nothing changed because you were blind to the signs. Timing doesn't wait for you to be ready, and neither do opportunities. They arrive like a tidal wave, whether you're prepared or not, whether you acknowledge them or not. The universe doesn't negotiate, and it doesn't send reminders twice. That's the thing about precise timing. It separates the spectators from the participants. People like to believe they're tuned in, that they're noticing, that they're awake. But the truth is, attention is rare. Awareness is rarer. Most of us drift through days pretending to see the signals, letting the moments slip by while we scroll, distract, debate, delay. But the 3 hours tomorrow, that window between 11 and 3, is a test of attentiveness, of readiness, of whether you're capable of acting when the universe hands you exactly what you've been waiting for. And if you miss it, The lesson isn't lost, it comes back in a form you won't enjoy as much. Opportunity disguised in precision is cruel in the best way. It forces you to confront your fear of action, your hesitation, your attachment to comfort. It doesn't matter how long you've been waiting for signs, or how badly you want the confirmation, or how many prayers you've whispered. It only matters if you notice and respond. That is the test. That is the line drawn in the sand. Most people fail it, not because they aren't capable, but because they are afraid to trust what they already know. There's something almost comedic in how people panic when the moment arrives. The tension builds, the awareness flickers, the fear rises, and suddenly the moment is here, screaming with clarity, and they act like it's a surprise. They forget the warning signs that came in whispers, in subtle discomforts, in the restless energy they felt for weeks. They ignored the breadcrumbs, so the universe had to turn the path into a roaring river to force attention. And still, many of them hesitate. Still, they stall. Still, they resist the inevitable, clinging to the illusion that they can control the timing, that they can control the outcome, that they can outrun the exact moment designed for them. The specificity of timing doesn't forgive hesitation. It doesn't wait for you to overcome fear at your own pace. It doesn't bend for indecision. That window between 11 and 3 is precise because it's aligned with what you're capable of handling if you just notice. The universe doesn't waste energy on the unready. It delivers exactly what is needed, exactly when it's needed, to those willing to step into it. And the more people resist, the more intense the nudge becomes, until it is undeniable, unavoidable, unavoidable. People always underestimate how much power they have to respond, to move, to act when the universe presents a window. They pretend timing is random, luck is random, opportunity is random. But it's not. It's deliberate, it's intentional, it's precise, and it's waiting for the ones who are paying attention, for the ones willing to notice that these 3 hours tomorrow aren't ordinary. They're not casual, they're not accidental. They are a doorway, a test, an invitation, and whether you recognize it or ignore it will define everything that comes next. Every whisper you ignored before, every gut feeling you doubted, every hesitation you excused, it all leads to this. And now the moment arrives, wrapped in a window so specific it can't be ignored, and you realize the truth. The universe doesn't ask. It presents. It doesn't negotiate. It commands attention. And the question is simple. Will you see it this time? Or will you let it pass like all the other signs before it? People spend their entire lives pretending they're in control, acting like the universe is a polite assistant who waits patiently while they fumble around, making excuses, avoiding responsibility, pretending timing doesn't matter. But timing does matter. Timing is ruthless. Timing doesn't bend for indecision, and it doesn't knock politely before rearranging everything you thought you understood. Tomorrow, between 11 and 3, isn't a casual segment of the day. It's a concentrated window, a signal wrapped in precision, a test of whether you're awake enough, aware enough, and bold enough to respond to the message that's been coming for you long before the clock struck now. Most people think signs are obvious. They believe life will wave giant red flags, blast a siren, send a parade to announce the moment when destiny finally speaks. But life isn't theatrical, it's subtle, and that subtlety is what separates those who notice from those who drift unaware. That subtlety is why most people miss it entirely, shrugging and saying, "It's nothing," while the exact same moment slips past their fingers. That tension you feel in your chest when something feels off, that restless energy that won't settle, that slight irritation that seems meaningless, it's all part of the message. The universe whispering, nudging, teasing, challenging you to pay attention before it escalates into undeniable consequence. People are addicted to delay. They convince themselves that tomorrow is infinite, that opportunities will return, that they can afford to wait for clarity to feel comfortable. But clarity rarely feels comfortable. Timing rarely feels convenient. If it arrives, it is precise because you were meant to meet it, and that precision isn't designed for your ease. It's designed for your growth, for your evolution, for your awakening. And yet, most people ignore the pull, choosing the illusion of control over the necessity of action. They clutch at the familiar, while the unfamiliar, the necessary, the transformative, waits quietly for them to notice. There's a strange cruelty in watching people act surprised when the consequences of ignoring precise timing arrive. They act shocked when opportunities vanish, when connections break, when doors close. But the warning signs were never absent. The whispers were there, the instincts were there, the tension was there. They just chose to sleep, to distract, to rationalize, to pretend. And that is the cost of pretending the world continues. The timing passes, and the consequences do not forgive hesitation. Life does not rewind because you weren't ready to act. Precision in timing is also a test of awareness. It measures who is truly awake, who is attuned to the subtle rhythms of the world, who can distinguish between distraction and signal, between delay and destiny. That 3-hour window tomorrow is designed to do exactly that. It doesn't bend for comfort. It doesn't wait for your courage to catch up. It doesn't negotiate with your procrastination. It arrives as it must, and the moment's significance depends entirely on your ability to recognize it and respond. People underestimate the power of moments like this. They treat time casually, believing that hours are interchangeable, that days are repeatable, that opportunities are infinite. But they are not. That window isn't a suggestion. It isn't a coincidence. It is deliberate, intentional, and demanding attention. The universe does not repeat the exact same alignment just to accommodate hesitation. If you fail to notice, the consequence isn't random, it's inevitable. Ignoring the precise timing doesn't erase the signal. It amplifies the lesson, turning subtle nudges into unavoidable disruption until the person finally wakes to the truth they've long denied. And here's the cruel, elegant twist. The moment doesn't arrive to punish. It arrives to reveal. It exposes who is awake, who is capable, who is ready to act, and who remains trapped in the comfort of denial. That specificity, that 3-hour window, it isn't an obstacle. It isn't arbitrary. It is a mirror, reflecting the attention you've paid to the world, the courage you've mustered, the willingness you have to trust the signs you've been given, and the readiness you have to step into the path that's been waiting for you all along. Most people will see tomorrow as ordinary, as nothing, as just another set of hours. But those who notice will feel the tension, the alignment, the pressure, the pull, the invitation disguised as coincidence. They will recognize that the universe doesn't waste time with ambiguity when precision is required. Those who respond will step into something larger than themselves, and those who ignore it will wake later, wondering why life moved without them while they slept through the signal. That 3-hour window isn't casual. It isn't infinite. It is designed, deliberate, and precise, and it measures whether you can notice, whether you can act, whether you can step fully into the moment meant to define the next chapter of your life. People always act surprised when a moment arrives that they've been unconsciously waiting for. They want signs, confirmations, nudges. Yet when the universe finally delivers, they treat it casually, as if significance should announce itself with fireworks and confetti. But life rarely operates theatrically. Life operates quietly, intentionally, precisely. That 3-hour window, tomorrow 11 to 3, doesn't exist to be noticed by accident. It exists to separate those who are awake from those who are sleepwalking. The ones who see it, feel it, understand it, and act. The others will shrug, scroll past, and wonder why nothing ever changes for them. People are terrified of specificity because specificity demands response. A vague feeling can be ignored. A loose intuition can be rationalized away. But a clearly marked moment in time, that's accountability. That's choice. That's a challenge wrapped in opportunity. And most people recoil from it because responding would require movement they aren't ready for. Courage is uncomfortable. Awareness is uncomfortable. Action true, decisive action is intolerably uncomfortable for anyone who has been hiding behind excuses, distractions, and the illusion of control. We spend so much of our lives pretending we understand the patterns when in reality we barely notice them. Subtle signs appear in tone, behavior, energy, and circumstance, but we act blind. We rationalize. We overthink. We cling to comfort. We wait for clarity to arrive like a polite visitor. But clarity doesn't arrive politely. It arrives insistently, precisely, with pressure and alignment, and often with the threat that ignoring it will cost far more than paying attention ever would. That's what tomorrow represents. It's not a suggestion. It's not casual. It's a pressure point in time, a junction, a moment where everything you've been asking for, ignoring, fearing, and hoping for meets the exact readiness of your awareness. And it's a test and exact measure of whether you notice, whether you respond, whether you're capable of stepping into the path the universe has prepared for you. Most people will fail without even knowing it. They'll be preoccupied with routine, doubt, and distraction. They'll glance at the window of hours and shrug, thinking, tomorrow is another day, not realizing tomorrow is the day. What's fascinating is how humans deceive themselves about readiness. They believe they're awake, alert, tuned in, but awareness is rare. True readiness is rarer. Most people operate on autopilot, their intuition drowned by noise, their instincts silenced by habit, their gut warnings brushed off as paranoia. And yet, the universe continues to speak, sending its signals, lining up the hours, presenting windows like a test you didn't even know you signed up for. Those who notice are the ones who can read the unspoken, who can feel the timing, who can act in ways others cannot, because they finally acknowledge the precision of life. Specificity is brutal in the most enlightening way. It exposes hesitation, fear, and indecision. It doesn't ask politely. It doesn't allow excuses. That 3-hour window tomorrow exists to confront avoidance, to reward attention, to challenge courage. And the irony is, it's never convenient. The timing is always slightly uncomfortable, slightly inconvenient, slightly demanding, because if it were easy, you wouldn't notice it. If it were casual, you'd ignore it. The universe doesn't waste precision on those unwilling to rise to it. Precision arrives, and only those awake enough to act will benefit. Ignoring precise timing is costly. Ignoring alignment is costly. Pretending opportunity is casual when it is deliberate brings a consequence that is always unavoidable. The warning signs you've been dismissing, the tension you've been rationalizing, the nudges you've been pretending don't exist, they're all leading to this. The universe rarely repeats the same message in the same form. When a precise moment like this presents itself, it is designed to be noticed, acknowledged, acted upon. Failure to do so doesn't erase the opportunity, it amplifies the lesson until the cost can no longer be ignored. Tomorrow isn't ordinary. Those 3 hours are charged with intent, layered with consequence, laced with potential, and aligned with your readiness whether you believe it or not. Most people will sleep through it. Most people will distract themselves, rationalize, delay. Only those who are awake, aware, and willing to act will step through it. And the lesson is simple but relentless. The universe doesn't negotiate, it doesn't repeat, and it doesn't forgive inaction. Precision is a gift. Precision is a test. Precision exposes the gap between wanting and doing, between fear and courage, between life as it is and life as it could be. And that is why tomorrow matters. That is why attention matters. That is why alignment matters. That is why the moment, marked precisely between 11 and 3, exists not for casual observation, but for decisive action, for clarity, for recognition of everything you've been ignoring, and for the courage to finally move when the universe delivers exactly what you've been waiting for. People spend their lives looking for signs, for confirmations, for proof that they're on the right path. Yet the truth is almost always staring them in the face. Timing is everything, and most people are terrible at noticing it. They pretend life's moments are interchangeable, that tomorrow is just another day, that a few hours here or there don't matter. But timing doesn't work that way. Timing is deliberate. Timing is precise. Tomorrow, between 11 and 3, isn't just a random block of hours. It's a window carved out with intention, a pressure point in your life designed to separate those who are awake from those who are sleepwalking, those who notice from those who ignore, those who respond from those who wait until it's too late. There's a strange cruelty in precise timing. It forces you to confront your own hesitation, your own fear, your own attachment to comfort. Most people think opportunity will wait, that clarity will return, that the universe is patient enough to repeat itself until they finally pay attention. But that's a lie. The universe delivers its messages with surgical precision. That 3-hour window tomorrow is deliberate. It exists to test your readiness, to measure your courage, to see if you're truly capable of responding when the chance appears in front of you. And the irony is, most people will miss it, not because the moment is unclear, but because they are blind to the subtle nudges they've been ignoring for weeks, months, years. Think about it. Every time your instincts have whispered that something is off, every time your gut tightened for reasons you couldn't explain, every time a small discomfort in your mind or body warned you of what was coming, you brushed it aside. You called it paranoia. You labeled it overthinking. You distracted yourself. But those were the signals, the micro warnings, the foreshadowing of the precision that life always delivers. Timing doesn't forgive hesitation. Timing doesn't wait for comfort. Timing doesn't negotiate with procrastination. And when it arrives, whether you see it or not, it demands a response. The world loves to teach lessons the hard way. People pretend they don't see what's coming until it's unavoidable. They wait for chaos, for disruption, for consequence to finally justify the whispers they ignored. That's how timing works. It escalates. The subtle nudges become tension. The tension becomes pressure. The pressure becomes urgency. And suddenly, the moment is unavoidable. That 3-hour window tomorrow is the culmination of all the subtle warnings you've been dismissing. It's a chance to step into clarity, into alignment, into opportunity, but only if you notice, only if you respond, only if you act. There's a comedy in how humans resist their own readiness. They want signs, but they fear them. They want proof, but they avoid it. They pray for guidance, but when guidance appears clearly, they hesitate, question, and rationalize. And so the window of opportunity comes, precise, deliberate, unavoidable, and they miss it because the courage to act is uncomfortable, because readiness demands awareness, and because they are addicted to postponement. The universe doesn't waste its precision on distraction or indecision. That moment is reserved for those willing to step into it, willing to feel the tension, willing to trust what their instincts have been telling them all along. Ignoring precise timing is expensive. It doesn't just cost you a moment, it costs lessons, clarity, opportunity, and sometimes direction itself. People act shocked when doors close, when chances disappear, when outcomes they ignored finally land. But the warning signs were there all along. The whispers were there. The tension was there. Timing was precise. They just weren't awake enough to notice. And that's the trap most people fall into. Thinking life's messages are optional. Thinking opportunity can be ignored. Thinking tomorrow is infinite. When in reality, tomorrow exists only to reveal who is ready, who is paying attention, and who is capable of responding when it counts most. Those who notice the window, who feel the alignment, who recognize the urgency, they move differently. They don't wait for proof. They don't rationalize. They act. Their attention is sharp, their awareness acute, their courage activated. They recognize that the universe doesn't deliver precision to accommodate comfort. It delivers precision to provoke action. And action is where transformation lives. The 3-hour block tomorrow isn't casual. It's deliberate. It's designed. It's waiting for recognition, for courage, for awareness, for decisiveness. And whether you respond or ignore it defines the gap between what you have and what you are capable of, between who you've been and who you could become, between life as ordinary and life as extraordinary.